table. I think we measured it out to be just under 8 feet.
Yep, see? So we're safe.
Just under 8 feet. Today's show is going to be hot. Moms that are in Charlottesville and Central Virginia, buckle up, giddy up, and get ready. We're going to talk.
Lots of strong opinions.
You know what? I think there are going to be a lot of strong opinions here. And what makes this country great is we all can have opinions that we are passionate about, and we can agree or respectfully disagree with each other.
Absolutely.
And we're going to do it in a friendly, live setting in front of a hell of a lot of people. We're going to talk UVA suspending vaccination mandates for employees, no masks at schools, Glenn Youngkin, Governor of Virginia. Kelly Jackson's going to be fired up on that one.
I'm fired up. I'm already fired up.
Is it safe to say you'll be fired up on that one?
Yeah, I'll be fired up.
We'll talk private school versus public school responses.
Yeah,
and
very different.
You know firsthand, right?
Yeah, I have one in private and one in public.
Okay, that's why I brought that up. We'll also talk how moms and dads in the community are responding. You know a lot of moms and dads.
I know a lot of moms and dads.
So do I. You are a mom.
Yeah.
I'm a dad.
Perfect.
There we go. So we're ready to rock and roll. And another great topic we're both passionate about, the future of restaurants.
Yes.
Why are so many Charlottesville restaurants for sale?
Right.
The labor shortage in restaurants and what restaurateurs can do about it. And the sparkling, beautiful, strategic renovations of Panera Bread Barracks Road.
Yes, super excited. Looks good.
We have photos to show.
Yeah.
So Panera, locally owned by the Postel Jackson family.
Yes.
And one of the principals in the house.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on set today. Beautiful Rory, live studio audience today. Thank you for joining us, Rory. Judah Whitcower is our director. He's a
little more than the director now.
Oh, he's part of the show?
Right. He's like an online personality.
That was one of the New Year's resolutions, was integrating Judah more into the show.
I like it.
And now I'm hearing viewers and listeners have Zach Morris-like posters in their bedrooms of Judah hanging by their bedrooms.
Not a shocker.
And
not
people look at the Judah posters before going to bed.
Yeah, on the ceiling.
You remember that Saved by the Bell episode?
Yes, I do.
Okay, it was Kelly Kapowski, right?
Yes.
You're the Kelly Kapowski of the show, Judah Whitcower.
You don't know what that fills me with.
Judah Whitcower. Oh, today's show is going to be red hot. Give it a like and a share anywhere you are watching. Judah Whitcower, we are in your hands.
Quiet on the set.
Guys, good afternoon. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love Seville show. We are live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love Seville network, and it's damn good to be with you on a chilly, rainy day here in Seville. A lot we're going to cover today. Friend of the program, Kelly Jackson. We're going to spend an hour and change with her just talking life and shooting the you-know-what about so many topics that are near and dear to our hearts. Topics like UVA, yes, the University of Virginia, suspending vaccination mandates for employees. Topics like mask mandates being suspended by Glenn Youngkin, the governor of Virginia, in public schools. Topics like how public and private schools are responding to this pandemic in 2022, now that we are 2+ years into this. What do we call this? Mess. All right, I was going to say something worse. I'm going to go with Kelly's mess. I was going to say something much worse.
Disaster.
Yeah, mess.
Dumpster fire.
Let's get KJ on screen right now, please. We'll get Judah on screen so he can blow a kiss to his adoring fans, listeners and viewers right now. Judah has no idea what he's gotten himself into. I had an idea. We'll give some love to Skooma Boutique Dispensary, the best dispensary in Charlottesville, for being a part of the show. Skooma Boutique Dispensary on the downtown mall. David and his family, guys, certificates of analyses for everything in the store. All right, 3 shots on screen. Everybody say hello.
Hello.
Hello. J-Dub, you give a hello to everybody as well. KJ first, how's it going?
Good.
Yeah?
I mean, the snow days were fun. I'm kind of over it. The kids are finally back at school, almost.
I'm over it.
I'm over it.
We have this argument all the time. Did you blow a kiss to your adoring fans, Judah? Can you do that, please?
No.
You don't want to put. How about how about a salute?
I'm not a kiss blower.
Can you give him a salute?
A salute?
Yeah.
I wink. A wink.
A wink? Can you say hi to everybody
He
that's
needs
watching?
a signature move. A
Hello,
signature
everybody
move.
that's watching.
Okay, there we go. You do need a signature move. That is a good idea, a signature move. All right, so friends, Rosemary, que pasa? How are you? KJ's mama is watching the program.
Of course.
All right, so let's get to the first topic of the program, Judah and KJ.
Okay.
The University of Virginia, we have seen this in every news outlet across the Commonwealth. They are following JMU,
Right.
Virginia Tech, William & Mary, VCU, Virginia State University, following a state executive order prohibiting vaccine mandates among state agencies. The University of Virginia is ending its requirement that employees get vaccinated. First take, KJ. Second take, Judah. I'll follow in the third slot. KJ,
Okay.
the show is yours.
For what I know of vaccinations, and I've changed my opinion very much in the last couple months, right? Listen, if you don't want to be vaccinated, don't be vaccinated. I'm vaccinated and boosted because if and when I get COVID, I don't want to be super sick, die, or have long-term lasting effects. If you don't care about that, or you want to roll the dice, as they say, go for it. And how many new staff members are on the roster for this next semester? I mean, they already mandated it, so I'm going to guess I'm guessing 90% of faculty and staff already are vaccinated. Right?
Strong take. Nearly all employees in the academic division have received their first 2 doses, and 85% have provided proof of booster, according to a community message Wednesday from university leadership. KJ.
Okay, so yeah. Listen, if you want to get the vaccination, get it. I would recommend you get it. If you don't get it and you get really sick, well, you had a year and a half to get it. So I don't.
Judah Wickhauer, jump in here.
Well, my problem with mandates is the same problem whether you're mandating something or getting rid of all mandates. The problem, I think, is that I believe that like schools, businesses have a right. They know their customers, they know their employees, so they should be the ones deciding what what should and shouldn't happen.
What's the difference between a mandate and a law?
Creating a mandate, in my mind, is just, you've got some government somewhere that doesn't know anything about the individual outlying areas, small school districts, businesses. They don't know. And so just to blanket say you all have to do this, I think is tone deaf and doesn't take into account the needs of individual areas.
Kelly Jackson, your take, your response to that.
Well,
Little crossfire action right here.
I have a legit question. What is the difference between a mandate and like a law?
Judah, why don't you do a little due diligence for us on that? I don't profess to be an expert on this. I would imagine a mandate is a quicker way to insist or demand that things get done, as opposed to the law going through legislative processes.
Like in a state of emergency, we can make these laws.
I would think a mandate is pretty much synonymous with a law.
So very quickly, from a couple different sources, one of them says they're effectively the same thing.
Yeah.
Only difference is how they're initiated. And then here we see that laws are passed by the Senate and the House of Representatives is signed by a governor. A mandate is made by the governor.
Okay, so I was right.
Okay,
a way to
right.
make things happen immediately versus a law having to go through bureaucracy and protocols to come to fruition.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess this is a slippery slope.
That's what I'm fearful of.
I mean, this is a slippery slope because, listen, if the vaccines, which they said in the beginning, were keeping people from getting and spreading COVID, and if everybody got the vaccine, then COVID would be done. If that was the situation, I'm for the mandate then. I mean, if it could put an end to it and businesses could get back to normal, and we could have been back to normal a year ago if everyone got it, I would say, sorry, you're getting a jab.
Okay,
But-
go ahead.
But now that doesn't seem to be the case.
How so?
Meaning you can still get COVID and spread it even if you have the vaccination.
Okay, so I want to identify this, and this is where Judah Wickhauer jumps in the mix as well. First, when the vaccination was positioned for the American and global public,
Right.
the vaccination, in particular by Dr. Anthony Fauci, was positioned in a way that if you get vaccinated, you will not get COVID.
Correct.
Remember when Fauci did that?
Right.
Fauci straight up said, if you get pricked, you won't get COVID.
And if that was the case, then I would say mandate everyone to get vaccinated so we can move on.
Right. That clearly is proven not to be the case.
Correct.
Now, what has proven to be the case is if you're boosted and vaccinated, the collateral damage of getting COVID is a lot less severe than unvaccinated. Meaning if you are unvaccinated, you're likely going to have much worse health implications than if you are vaccinated.
Right.
But the counterpoint of that is how effective or how Omicron is a lot lighter than some of the other ones. So is it really
the collateral damage you're saying? The health implications.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you look at kids, the number of kids and this just came out, but the number of kids who get COVID are 30% more likely to develop type 1 diabetes. You can't get rid of that. That's a roll of the dice. I mean, it's a roll of the dice.
How are they doing that kind of? I mean, I'm not refuting that information because I haven't read anything about it. But how are they getting that information so quickly when, it seems like we still have a lot to learn about the vaccines themselves?
Fair point.
Fair point. I mean, I'm not a scientist. I read the articles.
Fair. Same with me. Fair point.
Yeah.
I will say this. My concern, which it seems is also KJ's concern, is the hospital infrastructure, and if beds and resources and personnel are being allocated to unvaccinated individuals as opposed to life-threatening car crashes, heart attacks, strokes.
Right.
In particular, I think of my parents and the elderly folks in my family.
Right.
That is concerning and why I got vaccinated. I'm also a free market guy, probably most identify with the party of common sense, which means, hey, if we want to get the economy back on track, we likely need to get folks healthy. And as a free market guy, that probably means medicine, science, and vaccinations, so the mom and pops and small businesses like ours can return to whatever the new normal is.
Right. Okay,
so I'm a huge fan of that. Now, I'll throw this out there because you both are on either end of the spectrum, Judah and KJ.
Right.
I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I will throw this to you. Having governments mandate vaccinations terrifies me in that where else could they go with government reach?
Like how many kids you can have, right?
I mean, there was a time when government was saying who could marry who.
Right, which I don't agree with either.
I don't agree with.
Listen, like I said, I don't think they should be forcing anyone to put something in their body they don't want to do, right? Because it's not going to stop COVID from spreading. That is the reason. If it was going to stop COVID and put an end to it all, I would be for it. If the risk versus the reward, if the reward was great enough, I would take the government risk.
Judah Wickower, jump in here.
I think that's a fair point. I think my problem with the government mandating anything is that who trusts the government, and why would you? We were just talking about Anthony Fauci and all the different information that's come out since the beginning of this, and the flip-flopping and you need to wear 2 masks or 1 mask or no masks, or, it's just, do we really trust these people to, like I said, blanket statement, this is what everybody is doing? I think it's better left to regions that know their constituents better.
Viewers and listeners, give us your thoughts. And now we're really going to hyper-localize this. Moms and dads, giddy up, buckle up, and get ready. No mask mandates in schools anymore.
Well, not Albemarle County is keeping the mandate.
We're talking Commonwealth-wide from the governor's office. Glenn Youngkin said earlier this week. Yeah.
But there are several.
Many school boards.
Many school boards saying, we're not following you.
And this hits close to home for you. Explain how it does.
I mean, I believe in science. And scientifically, if you have a mask on, Jerry, and I have a mask on, even if one of us is potentially contagious, the likelihood of one of us getting it from the other is minimal. Is minimal. So, I don't know. I just would like to believe that people in the community would choose to care enough about their neighbors, their friends, people that live in their community, enough to wear a mask so those people don't get sick.
Okay, I'll throw this, and here's where I'm different on this one from KJ. And Judah, we get your take here in the mix. I think when it comes to our children, we have a almost 4-year-old. You have 2 daughters.
Right.
Ages of your 2?
8 and 14.
Public and private, right?
Yeah,
Public and private school.
both.
From my standpoint, it's up to the moms and dads to determine the health or the remedies to good health of their children. So a mom and a dad, okay, you can counter. Judah, I want your take in there. I see the wheels are turning. My wife is extremely cautious.
Yes.
I'm slightly less cautious than her. She's on the very strong side of caution.
Like me.
You're a very strong side of caution. You're almost identical in how you're looking at this. And our kid is under 5. He's not vaccinated. So everywhere we go, and it's been few and far between. If you haven't noticed on the I Love Seville Instagram, there's a hell of a lot less food pics on there. I mean, there's a reason for that. I mean, because we have a under 5-year-old who's not vaccinated.
Right.
So we ain't eating out that much anymore because of that. Because she's
that.
nervous about our kid.
Yeah.
Which I respect. And happy wife, happy life.
Totally agree.
But I think, would Adam say the same?
Yes.
Okay, Adam would say the same.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this. I think it's up to the moms and dads to determine what's the best path to good health for their offspring, and not a man or a woman in a suit in Richmond or some senators in D.C. demanding or mandating what moms and dads do.
Okay, I disagree.
Okay, tell us why.
Because if your decision makes it riskier for my child, now it's impeding on my child's health, and I have no control over that. So I have a problem with that.
Well, and mention to the viewers and listeners what you said before the show started of how it could be this divisive factor amongst children's and friend group.
Oh, I definitely think it's going to. So the public school, Albemarle County and the city of Charlottesville, as well as other counties like Fairfax, Northern Virginia counties, have said, we're keeping masks in the school. I will have to give Albemarle County huge props, A, for their decision, because I agree with it, but B, it was less than 24 hours since the governor said we're not doing that. They sent out an email, a phone call, and a text to me as a parent saying this is what we're doing. Also, they sent out another reminder email, phone call, and text to me last night about the kids going back today and the mask requirements. The private schools haven't said what they're doing yet.
Okay, so this is a topic we need to cover. Judah Wickhauer, what's on the brain over there? I see the wheels turning. What's the take? What's the perspective?
Yeah, I think, again, my problem stems back to the authoritarian response of this is what's best for everyone. And I think it disregards communities. And we should be, I think I mentioned something about communities a while ago. We need to be talking with our neighbors. We need to be talking with the other people in the other parents of kids in your schools, so that we understand how each other feel. Like if my neighbor says I'm not comfortable, talking to you if you're not wearing a mask, I'll put a mask on.
You're a golden rule guy.
But if somebody in Capitol Hill says you need to do this, the rebel in me says, well, screw you. Why do I need to do that? You don't know me. You don't know anything about my community. So I think what we need to do is we need to get back to like the school announcing that this is did they talk to the parents? Did they talk to, was there a school committee meeting? I think we need to get back to discussing things, explaining our positions, and having dialogue.
But
yeah.
listen,
So
there's
one
a difference
thing I need to
okay,
reiterate: the rebel in him. We got posters of the bare-chested rebel on sale on iloveseville.com for $19.95. Only kidding. KJ, jump in the mix.
Listen, this might not be a very popular opinion, and that's okay.
That's fine.
Right.
Yeah. I think this opinion is literally, I don't want to put numbers on it, but I would bet half the community is on one side of the fence,
Yeah.
and the other half is
I
on the
agree.
other side of the fence.
There are facts and there are feelings. Okay? Everyone seems to get their feelings hurt so often. Listen, when I was a kid and I played sports, if you didn't win the tournament, you didn't get a trophy. I mean, that was just it. Right? And now everybody gets a trophy.
Which is BS.
Which, in my opinion, does not teach lifelong lessons.
Amen.
Everyone is not equal. Everyone is not going to be able to live their dreams. I wanted to be a professional volleyball player.
Well, you're 5'2".
Right. So,
Yeah.
that's not fair.
At least you have a 44-inch vertical.
I do have
She can jump really high.
I can jump really high. No, but this is about facts, not feelings. It is factual to keep communities safe, and from the numbers going up, you need to wear a mask. That is factual. Jerry, I'm sorry you don't feel like wearing a mask, but factually it's going to keep you safe and me safe and not overrun our hospital system.
Okay, I'll play devil's advocate. Judah, get ready to offer some valuable commentary here. I'll play devil's advocate
Okay.
with you. You wear a mask in the classroom.
Yeah.
You wear a mask in the hallways.
Yeah.
You wear a mask on the school bus.
Yeah.
You wear a mask as you're entering the classroom and leaving the classroom.
Sure.
Yet during lunchtime and snack time, kids are taking their mask off and eating their Lunchables. They're eating their nabs. They're drinking their chocolate milk.
Remember Dunkaroos?
And they're having their Dunkaroos. Explain to me, does COVID stop at lunch and during snack time when the masks are off?
It depends on what each school is doing, and I can only speak from my experience.
Okay.
So for Monticello High School, my child and 4 other children
Okay.
are friends of hers. They all are very strict and very careful about COVID.
So no Dunkaroos?
No, I mean, no Dunkaroos. Okay. No, but so they've chosen to only eat lunch with each other outside. Even when it's cold and rainy. My daughter just texted me and said, "Don't worry, Mom, I'm eating lunch outside." And then if it's pouring rain or snowing, they have talked to a professor they feel comfortable with that knows the teacher is vaccinated and boosted and wears the mask. They asked that teacher if those 4 students who are very careful can eat in that classroom when they can't eat outside. And the teacher said, sure. And then when lunch is over, she puts back on her mask when she's around anybody else.
Okay, the counterpoint to that is the collateral health damage of COVID, especially with the littles, is a lot less severe than the collateral damage of folks with, was it the word, comorbidities?
Yeah.
That have health complications, implications, or issues that are going on. So that's a point to consider. And that's one of the points, the foundational argument points that parents that are saying, let our kids be kids and not wear masks. For example, this morning, I heard a father of 2, not going to blow up his spot, okay? Had a conversation with him in private off the air. Father of 2 that made this comment: facial recognition and a little one watching his or her peer talk and
totally
do facial
agree with that.
expressions is incredibly important to socialization and maturation.
I totally agree.
And the mask is covering half the face, arguably the most important part,
Right.
the nose, the mouth, and under, where the kid needs to see, read, and understand to detect essentially EQ, emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
KJ's going to offer a take. Judah Wickhauer is going to offer a take. J-Dubs, get in the mix, my rebel friend.
So I think there's a solution to that. They have something called clear masks.
Clear mask. Okay.
They have been out for years. I mean, since the pandemic started. Think of like...
Why aren't we seeing clear mask on?
Because no one buys them. I don't know. I mean, if you go to like the Virginia School of Autism, if you go to any sort of hearing impaired doctor's office, school, they all are wearing clear masks because they need to learn to lip read, and that's how they communicate, right? So no, those are available. Also, I just feel like there's always a compromise, right? So let's take schools. Let's say half the parents are like, I absolutely do not want my kid to wear a mask. And the other half of the school says, I only want my kid to be around kids with masks. Well, in a small private school setting, why don't you take a survey of the parents? Figure out how many kids and divide them between the classrooms. Well, can that be a solution?
Is there eventually going to be a time of school segregation based on mask choice? One school for children who wear masks and one school for children who do not wear masks? Is the new form of segregation...
I think that's a little
Is the
high,
new form of... At one time, segregation was associated with race. Is it now going to be segregation associated with garment on a face? Judah Whitcar, thoughts, topic, anywhere you want to go?
That's a tough one. I mean, when a group is completely divided, like right down the middle, I'm not sure what you do. But I think in most cases, it's not going to be that. It's not going to be that divided, and you're going to find the lines are drawn closer to one side or the other, and I think that's where good discussion and civil behavior comes in, and you discuss things, and you eventually come to an agreement, and maybe accommodations have to be made for the group that falls on the shorter side, but that's why we need to keep in contact with each other and not just pick like this is the right thing and everybody else is wrong.
So, viewers and listeners, offer your thoughts. Put them in the comments section, and I will relay your perspective live on air, just like I'm about to do from Hank Lloyd.
Ah, good old Hank.
You know Hank Lloyd?
I know Hank Lloyd.
Okay,
I love
Hank Lloyd watching the program. Hank says, my 6-year-old caught COVID due to exposure in school. No mask mandate in, is it Oklahoma schools?
Oklahoma, yeah.
Oklahoma schools. So he's watching in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a good college buddy. Do not tell any stories, Hank.
Do not tell any stories, Hank, but we appreciate your perspective. My 6-year-old caught COVID due to exposure in Oklahoma schools. He is vaccinated and he acted like nothing was wrong. He had to stay at home for 10 days. He does wear a mask at school. He wears a mask at school.
And he got it from another kid who wasn't wearing a mask.
Well, Hank says there's no mask mandate in Oklahoma schools.
Listen,
So there could be that may be an assumption that the kid he caught COVID from was not wearing a mask.
Yes.
Because the COVID particles still do penetrate these Aladdin and these Lion King and these
don't wear the cloth
Spider-Man cloth mask my son is wearing.
Right. Okay. Hank, how many kids, if you could guess, wear a mask versus not wear a mask because it's not mandated? I'd be interested to know.
Hank, put your comments in the comment section. That's a great question.
So
Oklahoma has no mandate.
Right.
So
no one's wearing a mask in Oklahoma.
So you would say it's like the Wild West out there.
It's the Wild West.
And we would say Albemarle County, where we are at, the city of Charlottesville, where we are at, is the antithesis of the Wild West.
I agree with that.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
I mean, you would call it almost like the Alcatraz of mask wearing, Albemarle County in the city of Charlottesville. You disagree? They're balls to the wall with masks in this community. I mean, ask her.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to say a majority of the people, like when you were saying, like, you don't think it's going to be split down the middle, I think a majority of people are going to want masks in schools, and the others are not going to want to do it.
Hank Lloyd says, we be wildin'. We be wildin' right now in the Oklahoma City schools, is what he said. And I'm responding, Hank, ha, 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 ha. Judah, jump in here. You're showing your cloth mask over there.
I've had this thing in my back pocket for over a year and a half.
They say it doesn't work.
Disgusting.
They said it doesn't work.
And I haven't.
What's disgusting, that the COVID gets through the cloth mask, or you haven't washed that in 18 months?
But it's been in my back pocket so long. But I haven't worn it in forever.
So if you go into the grocery store, you're not wearing a mask?
No. Why? I'm vaccinated.
Because you are a kind, loving person, and I know that about you.
He is a kind, loving person. Yeah. He's a very thoughtful person.
Yes, very thoughtful.
Yeah.
You're a family guy. I mean, I know you well enough to know that you're a great person. If you had...
So you're saying it's selfish what he's doing?
I mean, I love you.
You don't hold
Judah.
back.
You are.
He's got thick skin.
Yeah, I think when you say, listen, you don't know if I have to bring my child into the grocery store for any reason, and to pick up medicine that I have to get, something important that I have no other choice but to go in. She's wearing a mask because she's immunocompromised. I'm wearing a mask.
Our live studio audience.
Yeah, our live studio audience.
Yeah.
She's sitting here in a mask.
Right, our live studio audience.
I would hope, because you don't know my personal situation, just like you don't know anybody else's personal situation, that you would wear a mask just in case you have COVID to make sure that I don't get sick. And I would hope you would make that choice, not necessarily for you, but to protect the people that happen to be around you in the community.
That's fair, but I'm not rubbing shoulders when I go into the grocery store. I'm not.
You're touching the same cantaloupes.
And you're standing in line, right?
At least.
And you're talking to the cashier who has to work there to feed their family, and you're standing there paying.
The cashiers always have masks on, and they also have a plexiglass screen in front of them. I'm not a mouth breather. I'm not like heavy. I don't like.
But that's not how it works.
What do you mean that isn't how it works? Are you
Like-
saying that I can breathe on some surface? And because that was one of the first things that
No,
they...
I'm saying if everyone was only breathing out of their nose, out of their mouth, then we would be wearing masks like this, not like this. Right? We got to cover both airways.
Okay, but if I'm further than 6 feet away from anyone that I ever come across in the grocery store, and I'm not like coughing at people.
I mean, it's up to you. Listen, all I know is I wear my mask to protect my family and myself and the people in my community. If I found out that I had COVID and I didn't know it, and I gave it to my parents or my friends or my neighbor or to you, Judah, and you guys got really sick or ended up with long COVID symptoms, I would never forgive myself, because I'm going to do everything I can as a person in this community to protect everyone else in this community.
So it's interesting. Both of you guys are golden rule people. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Right.
But you very much differ on this topic.
Yeah, that's okay,
Both of you are on either side of the spectrum. This is from Iowa. Lynn Keeler. Hello from freezing cold Iowa. Well, if kids feel safer wearing a mask, they should not be mask shamed. Interestingly, and I'll add perspective to this. Judah, get ready to offer some perspective here. When dropping our son off at school today, again, my wife very cautious, he's worn this mask throughout the entire pandemic, when most of the kids in his class were not wearing masks. He was one of the few in a class of 20 that was doing it. Right. School pictures, we see him with a mask on.
I love that.
Okay, so school pictures with a mask on. That's what I'm putting. Trying to put it in perspective here.
Right.
As I'm walking to drop him off at the front door, the entryway to school, there was another kid who might have been all of 5 years old wearing a mask that said to another kid who was probably the same age, "Where's your mask and why aren't you wearing it right now?"
Yes. That's what my 8-year-old says that. What, Mom, why do these people not have on a mask? And listen, I think if schools say it's optional, it's really going to be divisive within the student population, within the teacher population, within the parent population, and the community population. Because I've said this to my friends, and I truly mean this. Not because I don't trust everyone else's actions, but I have to do, as a parent, do everything I can to keep my family and safe. If my kid goes to school and there's mask optional, I'm telling my 8-year-old, please stay away from the children who don't have masks on. Please stay away from them. Because I don't want her to get COVID. I don't want it to spread to my family.
Are masks the new form of segregation in education? Jen Corby, friend of KJ's.
Hi, Jen.
Kids are in school for a maximum of 6 hours. Masks are off at lunch, outside and for sports. They are fine wearing a mask. They don't care. Their parents do. They would rather be in school with a mask on than at home without a mask on. They are still kids with masks. And remember, this is not forever, and eventually we will be maskless one day. Jen Corby. 5 states on the show and more comments coming in. Let's talk about the private versus public school responses. This lady over here who's kicking bottom. Sorry, Rory.
Rory hears it all. There's nothing you can say that she has not heard.
KJ's kicking ass, okay? All right, she's kicking ass over here. Has a private and public school daughter.
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Judah Wickhauer, I'm curious of your take. Anything you want to go? You're well-read, you're well-versed in many different topics here. How do you think the private schools are going to respond? Offer perspective, KJ, of what you said about 4:59 p.m. Friday.
Listen, we are very lucky in Charlottesville.
She's not afraid to get ballsy.
No. Listen, I think we are so lucky in Charlottesville to have a ton of great school choices, public and private. One of my kids is in both, so I support both systems. The private school system is a business. They make money. So technically it's run like a business. They are going to have to make a decision by Friday to let the school communities know what's going to happen on Monday, because that's when the order takes place, right? Is that right, the 24th?
That's Monday.
Right.
You're saying you have not heard from your private school?
I have not heard from my private school. None of the private schools have said what they're doing. When I say, Charlottesville Catholic School has not said yet, Stab has not said yet, Covenant has not said yet. I do not know about Tandem. I don't have any friends that have kids at Tandem, so.
So you've crowdsourced parents and
Correct.
other private schools?
Yes.
J-Dubs, your adoring fans are asking for your beautiful Browns to look at the camera over here. Go ahead over there, KJ. Keep going.
I think private schools are in a very, very tough spot because you pay to go there. So paying customers are either going to be really happy or really pissed. And I think the schools are going to send out an email at 4:59 on Friday with their mask mandate. So no parents can rush the school, make phone calls, send emails, because no one's going to be there to answer them. I mean, and I think maybe the schools are thinking, okay, let's let these parents calm down over the weekend, and maybe the backlash won't be as much come Monday. But listen, I have friends on both sides of the aisle.
Or they just don't want to hear parents.
Well, I don't know that.
Oh, I think that's a very logical. It's the same thing. Like at a UVA, my first job was in media, newspapers, and when the proverbial you-know-what was going to hit the fan from a local jurisdiction, the press release always went out
Right.
Friday afternoon,
Right.
at press, right when
Right.
shift change was happening,
Right.
where
That's
we couldn't
exactly
get
right.
anybody on the record to offer quote about the you-know-what hitting the fan. So I think you're onto something. Good Lord,
Give
it's
them a weekend. Give them a weekend to think about it and cool off.
Well,
Yeah, that's what I'm
and so
saying,
the
yeah.
journalists couldn't respond.
Yeah.
Couldn't get anybody on record because they had already left City Hall. And let's cut to the chase. It's Thursday at 1:07 p.m.
Well, I do know a lot of the private schools have COVID task force that
What does
are
that mean?
filled with doctors and medical professionals that get all together, help make the rules and regulations for COVID, and then present them to the board. Then it's the board's choice to follow these COVID council's recommendations. I do know several medical professionals on several different of these COVID boards. And I spoke to two of them yesterday. They said no medical professional in Charlottesville will ever not recommend masks in schools. Now, it's up to the schools to listen to those COVID boards or not, right? But he's saying no medical professional in Charlottesville is going to recommend taking masks off of children in schools.
Judah Wickhauer, jump in the mix. And she's right, pediatricians in CBS 19, TV CBS affiliate in our Central Virginia community. I got the article right in front of me, texted to me by KJ across the table. Pediatricians say children should continue wearing masks in school despite Glenn Youngkin's anti-mask mandate, which was initiated this past Saturday. Wickhauer, what's on the brain?
I don't know anything about schools having scientists on their boards or anything like that. But
You're a man of common sense.
But as I've said before, I think the best recipe is discussion, keeping an open dialogue with the parents and anyone else involved, the teachers, and making informed decisions for everyone, and not just making an authoritarian, this is what we're going to do, and you all have to follow it. I think that's always a recipe for people being pissed off and deciding to say, F you, we're not going to do that.
Stephen Kramer on Facebook, is this a Republican-Democrat thing?
Personally, I think it's politicized 1,000%. For me, I feel like it's facts and science. I don't care who you voted for. It's facts and science. Listen, if I need a kidney transplant, Jerry, I like you a lot. I don't really want you weighing in on my kidney transplant medical care.
Would you give me your kidney?
I mean, if you needed it, I don't know how.
You'd give me your kidney?
Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
But I'm not gonna, you're not a professional, right? No. Now, if I want marketing and sales advice, I'm not gonna ask my doctor friend.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna listen to the people who are educated in different things where I'm not. I'm gonna trust people who know better. That's it.
I think the problem is that it's easy to put an MD at the end of someone's name and put them up on social media and say this is what the doctors say, when most of us really don't have any idea of their like bona fides. We don't know who these people are that we're getting like professional information from.
It's called
And
Google.
so- it's called okay, but there's
So you're saying a pediatrician in your book is not in the same bona fide credentials as what's the word, epidemiologist?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm not even talking about this kind of doctor and that kind of doctor. Just saying that not everybody is going to go to Google and Google every single person with an MD at the end of their name that is quoted in an article about this is what the American people should
No,
do.
but I think that's when
and
you test.
Again, I think this is why we need more discussion among our communities so that we're not getting some random guy like Fauci saying what's best for everybody and changing his tune every couple months. We're having a dialogue. We're deciding, among friends and neighbors what's best for our community, rather than relying on some guy in standing in front of a white building in front of a microphone saying that this is what's best for everybody in this gigantic country.
Are you knocking the
America.
random guy with a microphone in front of his face? Please don't do that over there.
I am.
Please don't. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm Joshua with you. KJ, jump in the mix.
Judah, if all people were like you, then I would trust what process you want to follow. Because I think you have an open mind, you listen to other points of view.
He's considerate.
You take people into consideration on what their needs and wants are.
Agree.
The interesting lady across the street that I saw when I was walking in here.
Wait, was this the one that had her behind hanging out? You saw her again?
Yes.
Why?
But she was close.
I'm drooling.
But she's
was
close.
constantly in front of our studio, damn it. I've seen that woman's behind so many
Jerry?
times. Why is she always there?
I think she goes to the market. I don't know.
Why is she always there?
But I don't trust.
God.
I don't trust. It's funny, but I'm not going to trust her point of view. I don't know her.
You know what she's talking about, right, Judah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are always going to be those kinds of people,
But I know and trust you. I don't know and trust everybody else with the safety of my children. I would trust you with the safety of my children. I'm not going to trust Jimmy at the gas station with the safety of my children.
But I think I agree. But I think it would be easier to filter those people out without the authoritarian, mandates and forcing you to do things. I think if there was more dialogue and less of just like everybody has to do this, then we would have talks like this. And I think a lot of those people that have that knee-jerk reaction to no, I'm not going to do this because the government's telling me to do it. I think a lot of those people would be more willing to go along if this was a dialogue and not just a blanket mandate.
And wouldn't it be interesting, because Virginia is very different. Charlottesville is very different than, let's say, Roanoke, right? Beliefs are different. Lives are different, right? They're very different communities. Mm-hmm. I would feel more comfortable if the communities themselves were making the mandates versus statewide. Because then I think you would really have a heartbeat on what the people in your community want.
And the people making the mandates could talk to those people and explain
Right.
themselves.
So you feel like that would be a good choice?
Yeah, I think that would be a much better choice than just the government saying this is what everybody has to do. I mean, I know people that are just like, no, F the government.
Brian Yeagle, watching on Twitter. Brian Yeagle, one-time fabulous team member of I Love Seville and VMV Brands, St. Anne's Belfield graduate, standout college baseball player, now in Charlottesville, Fredericksburg ties. I know more than half of Charlottesville agrees with KJ. But it's kind of crazy hearing someone suggest segregating kids in school based on if they wear a mask or not.
I mean, listen, I wouldn't want that to happen. At the end of the day, I want every person in my kid's class wearing a mask.
So if the do you not want me to say which private school it is that she goes to, Rory goes to?
Oh, no, everyone knows that. Yeah, she goes to Covenant.
She goes to Covenant.
Yeah. Oh, and we love Covenant.
If Covenant's a great school.
Covenant's a great school.
Love the headmaster, just putting it out there. See you all the time.
Dr. Gaffney.
See you all the time.
She's great. She is great.
She's fantastic. Someone tell Mo I'm giving her some props. She's a hell of a pickleball player. Mo, I'm giving you some props. If Covenant said to you, masks are now the decision of parents and whether or not students at Covenant have to wear them. It is now mandated. How would you respond this coming Monday with the dynamic Rory? I know you've thought about this.
Yeah, I know Dr. Gaffney very well. I've known her for 10 years. Her and I have had lots of different opinions and lots of hard discussions. At the end of the day...
Imagine that with you. Imagine that.
At the end of the day, her and I have both come together to find a solution that fits my child's needs.
Okay.
So if that's the case on Monday, I'm going to call Dr. Gaffney, and I feel confident that her and I can figure out a solution for my daughter that she feels great with and I feel great with for at least through the end of school. And that's how our dynamic has been in the past. So I feel confident that we would find a solution. I don't know what that solution looks like, but I think we would find a solution.
Judah Whitcower, you had something to say there.
I was just going to say, I think that's good parenting, good teaching, and good community.
And that's exactly why what you just said, very succinctly and eloquently and poetically, why I think it's up to moms and dads who you hope to God have the best interests of their children. It's their decision to determine whether their kid wears a mask or not. Okay, that's what I believe. We're having a conversation here. Okay, one of the best pieces of parenting advice that I ever got. Do you remember you have 2 kids?
Yeah.
With your first kid,
Okay.
when you and Adam, just like me and my better half, were effing terrified. You have the kid.
They're like, you can go home now.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
They walk you out of Martha Jefferson Hospital on Pantops. They make sure you can put your 8.5-pound child whose head falls off if you turn the wrong way while they're in your hands. They make sure that your kid could go in the car seat.
Right.
They're like, go and leave. And you're like, Jesus, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
I have an 8-pound person in the back seat here, and we have no idea what the hell to do.
No.
Right? Remember?
Yeah, I remember that I was lucky because my husband's one of 8, and he was the second oldest, so he really raised.
So he had perspective.
Yeah,
we had no perspective.
Right. I never even held a baby.
Yeah.
Ever.
We had no perspective. So
No.
here you go through the hardest physical thing of your damn life, and you and Adam are driving in the family SUV
Right.
to your house, and there's a child in the back seat.
I know.
Right?
Yes.
And at that point, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got as a parent that was about perspective for me is cavemen and crackheads have successfully raised
for
babies.
thousands of years.
Cavemen and crackheads
true.
have successfully raised it. And neither my wife or I are cavemen or crackheads.
Right.
Okay, and we've gotten to 4, almost 4.
You did it. So
You've
far.
gotten to
14.
14 and fabulous
8.
Rory, and 8. Okay, but that's why I think parents.
Okay, parents, listen. I know, and all parents out there, I know you know this is true. Not all parents follow the rules, Jerry. There are parents who very knowingly know their child is sick and has a fever. They give them Tylenol.
Or they have the party in the basement where they allow some drinking to happen
Right.
on site.
Right.
Did that happen?
In my house so
Yeah.
far? No, I have a 14-year-old.
No, I'm saying as you were growing up.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
I did that all the time.
Would you to prevent? Now your oldest is an anomaly and seems to be having the maturation of a 60-year-old over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, and maybe perhaps more mature than both Kelly, Judah, and
Yeah.
I all together.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe that's not going to be the case with you. But my son, I can already see has party ways. Maybe he takes after his father. And no, we don't have to go down that road. Okay.
Call me. I'll get you
We don't
beer.
have to go down that road. I can already see it. So would I be the dad that says, yes, you and your buddies can have some in the basement, or would I not be that dad? Because my parents were so anti that. Basically, booze was the devil's juice. As I was Southern Baptist, as I was in high school, and guess what it had? It had the opposite effect.
Right. My parents actually did a great job. Kudos,
Katie
Mom and Dad.
Pearl, we'll get to your comment.
My parents said, listen, you're in high school. I know there's going to be drinking and other things going on. You can call us day or night without question. We will not question you. You will not get in trouble. You can call us. We will pick you up up from parties. We will pick your friends up. We do not want you drinking and driving or getting in a car with somebody who's been drinking or driving or doing drugs. If we find out you are drinking and driving, or you're getting in a car with people who are drinking and driving,
that's the worst.
There are going
to
be severe consequences.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many times I called my parents at 3 o'clock in the morning.
And Big Rick came?
Big Rick came, picked up all my girlfriends.
Rick, you are A+ people.
Took us to Steak and Shake. So we could
So you had the grease in the belly?
We had the grease in the belly.
So you didn't get hungover the next day?
We'd go to bed. We'd wake up at like 1. My sweet mother, Rosemary, would be like, does anyone want a bagel or a turkey sandwich?
Okay, I'll counter that from the Southern Baptist perspective. And Judah, you jump in the mix how it was with you. Before the welcome back dance, my junior year, and I'm not going to say who the lovely lady I was with, for her sake, because she's on social media and is now an elected official. Okay, so again, they treated it as if it was the devil's juice. So I had to do a lot of sneaking around,
right,
and had a water bottle full of the finest vodka, we'll call it Aristocrat, and a plastic jug hidden in the woods. And next thing I know, before the welcome back dance, me and the lovely lass are finishing it before junior welcome back dance.
Right.
Never made it there.
Never.
Passed out, half clothed in a bed in my buddy's basement.
Oh, no.
My buddy's parents come home early. We're supposed to be there the next day. They ring up my parents.
Oh, no.
Next thing I'm waking up and Big Daddy's right in front of me saying, get your ass up. Drops off the girl at her parents' house at 2:30 in the morning, takes me back to the house to then proceed to stuff peanut butter sandwiches down my throat, to watch me vomit on the floor, and wakes me up at 4:30 in the morning to chop and stack wood. 4:30 in the morning. True story. 100% true story.
Okay.
Different ways of parenting.
I'm going to choose my parents.
Different ways of parenting. Different ways of parenting.
I'm choosing Rick and Rosemary.
Different.
But I will say this. Truly, I was always open and honest with them. I never have drank and drove, ever. I've never gotten in a car with anybody who's been drinking or driving, even in college. I never have done it. Because there were
consequences. And you had common sense.
But yeah,
but
I had a choice. I had a choice. My parents gave me the choice to get a safe ride.
Judah Wickower, we'll get your tape. We're going to get to Katie Pearl's comments here on Facebook. 6 states on the feed. We are going to get to Karen Fry Wolf has got comments on KJ's page. J-Dubs, jump in the mix anywhere you want to go.
Karen.
My parents were in between those two extremes. But I certainly had friends whose parents were fine with us coming over and drinking because they would prefer that we do it there than somewhere where they have no control over it. And my sister...
Which one? Mandy or Trisha?
Mandy, the older of the two, had some arguments with my parents about that, and she was, she argued the same thing. She's like, look, we're going to drink. You can't stop us.
Right.
So wouldn't it be better if we were drinking here where we're safe and we're not driving than going off to do it behind your back because you don't allow it?
Now, the reason we're bringing this up as a reference point is because there's varying degrees of parental oversight and how parents will utilize that oversight to encourage or discourage their kids to wear masks. Some parents are okay with their teenagers, and we hope it's teenagers, right? We hope it's upper teenagers.
Rory's not having a Bloody Mary, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Wait, okay, she's 8, right?
Right, that's not happening.
We hope it's upper teenagers. Some are okay with a beverage in the basement. Others treat it like the devil's juice. Karen Fry Wolf.
Yeah, she's an amazing pediatrician in town.
She says, I work for Pediatric and Associates.
Yeah, she's great.
And we are in communication with local schools recommending that students and staff continue wearing masks in school. Otherwise, we are not going to have students or teachers in the schools. Having children at home when schools were virtual caused a huge increase in mental health struggles. Keeping children in school should be one of our primary goals, and masks will help that. I will add to that comment and then get out of the way of our fantastic perspective people, Judah and Kelly. I will add to that private schools, and she can speak firsthand of that, very much it was school as usual throughout this pandemic. Where public schools, it's very much been a Loch Ness Monster, Busch Gardens roller coaster ride of education, and that has created a huge educational disparity, even more so than we've seen of decades past.
Yeah, for sure.
KJ, jump in the mix.
So I can only speak for Covenant because that's where my youngest went during the pandemic, right? They had the money, the resources, and the tools to do all the mitigation needed to keep the kids safe. That was last year, right? This year, some of those now they don't have to wear masks on the playground, whereas before they did. So they're not 6 feet apart, they're 3 feet apart. Things are a little different, but they're still doing a pretty good job. But numbers are rising. Don't fool yourself. I mean, numbers are rising.
At Covenant or in the community totality?
Both.
Okay.
Both. I know kids last year who were at public school transferred to Covenant or other private schools for this year because it was such a roller coaster ride, and they were in first grade, so now in second. Some of those kids who transferred from public school are now in second grade came to the private school not knowing how to read. Second grade. That's a problem. It's because they didn't learn how to read last year on virtual.
I had and I'm not going to say who, I will say it's Charlottesville City Schools. Upper level, I'm talking top 10 employee from a responsibility and job title standpoint. Say that graduating seniors right now, many of them are more likely like 10th grade, 10 and 3/4 students.
Yeah.
Like a 10th grader, 3/4 through the year instead of a senior of years past.
But they've been in school for 4 years, so was it just COVID that was the cause of that, or were those students that were falling behind before COVID?
Well, the graduating senior now, and I don't mean to cut you off. I was told by my better half to let Judah finish his thoughts even more, so I've been doing that even more, okay? The graduating senior now has spent 2 years and change in high school with COVID. So it's very different than the graduating senior that was second semester of 2020.
Right.
The graduating senior now is
a year and a half.
Like 2 years, because this was March. 2 years in March. 2 years in March is when this happened.
Yeah.
So
I just got back from Disney World.
Yes, the ACC tournament got canceled.
Right, yeah.
We were talking about this here.
Yeah.
Remember, it was bananas when this happened. Remember when we were taking the groceries and unbagging them
and leaving them
garage?
I was leaving them in the garage and wiping them down for days.
I'm sorry, but I've never done anything like that.
I got
my groceries, I took them home, I put them in the refrigerator.
Our family, all of us, not just you, sweetheart, were using
Clorox wipes.
Yeah,
that you
what are they
couldn't
called?
find. Clorox wipes.
The Clorox wipes to wipe the groceries.
Remember, there were none.
Yeah, they were none. We were stripping our clothes off in the garage.
And no shoes.
And no shoes. Because we thought it was on the surface of our feet.
Right.
And that's how it was spreading quickly in hospitals because it was in hospitals on the floor.
Yeah.
That literally is what it was.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I'm flabbergasted.
You
and there
remember
was no
this
toilet
though, right?
paper? Remember there was no toilet paper? We've come a ways. We have come a ways.
One of the first things that they said was that it doesn't get passed on surfaces.
We didn't know that initially.
No, for like the first 4 months we didn't know that.
We were stripping in the garage. You do know,
Yes.
remember this. We thought it was on surfaces.
Are you high, Judah? Don't you remember?
We thought it was on surface. No name calling, KJ. No name calling.
I was hearing this. No, I did not know that you guys stripped off your clothes when you parked in the garage. That's just insane.
A lot of people did. A lot of people did.
I wiped down groceries. Like, I stockpiled things and had them in different rows on different days that I could bring them in.
So this is from Katie.
I did.
Katie Pearl. Katie Pearl, I love your opinion on the show. I think you're fantastic at what you do professionally, and I respect tremendously your perspective, Katie Pearl. You know I do. She says a question for KJ, for Kelly.
Okay.
This is for you.
Okay.
Okay. How would you feel, Kelly, if someone was telling you what to do with your child that you do not agree with?
Like, think of an example.
She's
like,
basically, and Katie, help me out
She's
here.
trying to trap you.
I mean, it's a
but
valid question. This is a valid question.
No,
So,
I know.
okay, let's take something medical, right? Let's just take something medical because I don't know, unless you can think of something else. Like, if a doctor was telling me that my child had to get a blood transfusion, I don't want my kid to have a blood transfusion. There's a lot of complications with that, right? I would prefer not to, right? And at the end of the day, if they were like, well, she really needs it and we've exhausted all options, she really has to have it, I'm going to trust in people who have a higher knowledge of whatever subject we're talking about than I do. So you could pick anything.
What if, okay, I'll take it, Katie, I'll add to this to amplify your point. This is for the sake of a talk show. And I'm going to straight up say this. Why Terry Mcauliffe lost the election, and I've said it on record before, was his stance on education. When Mcauliffe made the comments that parents should have no influence in their children's curriculum.
I disagree with that.
I totally disagree with that. I big time disagree with that. And Mcauliffe didn't say that once. He didn't say it twice. He said it 3 times, doubling down each time thereafter.
Right.
And if someone like Mcauliffe straight up said to me, you have no say in what your son's what your son's curriculum should be, or what it should be, or where it should go, or anything like that. It's up to the teachers and not the parents. I would say, Terry Mcauliffe, go F yourself and leave the room before I kick you in the you-know-where.
Okay, but how about this?
Would you not?
I mean,
don't you think that's, do you think that's asinine, or you agree with that?
No, I am in the middle of the road. Okay, I am going to trust educational professionals. Like, for example, Mo Gaffney.
Now, you know she's going to be watching the show.
I don't know.
Okay.
She is educated, highly educated, has a doctorate.
Yeah. Experienced.
Experience, almost flawless track record on improving schools, getting kids better than where they need to be.
For those that don't know, she's the headmaster of the lower school at Cover.
Yeah. Okay.
And a fantastic pickleball player.
I am going to trust. I don't agree with everything she does. I don't. But I trust and believe in her education level and her track record that she is going to make the best educational decision for my child. Because she has more expertise. Just like I think I probably could bake a better loaf of bread and make a better sandwich than Mo Gaffney, because I'm in the Panera Bread business. I mean, everyone can't be the best at everything or know everything. So I'm going to trust appropriate people through conversation and take their point of views and trust them. That's what I'm going to do.
Judah, jump in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly what I've been saying, that we need to talk with each other. We need to keep dialogues open, and we need to understand each other better, rather than I was in somebody was telling me once about something that they call othering.
Othering?
Othering.
OTHERING?
Yeah. It's this concept of like placing people in this like box of like they are different than I am. And it's how we've got racism and people thinking that it's okay to nowadays you've got people who are taking out their aggression on Asians because they think that the
COVID was started by them.
That's awful.
Yeah, that is awful. That is awful. 100% awful.
And it's the
worst.
And it's an illustration of othering. It's where you take this group and you turn them into something that they're not human anymore. They're this group that's not me or my group, and therefore they're less significant. And I think when we start fracturing and dividing and listening just to some voice on the internet or the government, then we stop talking with our neighbors, and the people around us stop becoming human, and they start becoming just something other. They're someone that doesn't matter because they're not me, they're not my family, they're not my friends.
Judah.
Yay. Awesome.
Props. Well done.
Jerry,
executed it well.
Do you mind asking the person who
Katie Pearl's got more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, more. So first, Scott Aaronworth in Virginia Beach says, I wore gloves when I pumped gas when COVID first started.
Yes, I did too.
He wore gloves.
Me too.
Scott Aaronworth, we love when you watch and participate in the show.
Too.
Vanessa Parkhill. Parents from Earlysville went to jail for supplying booze for their kids to party.
Yeah, that happens.
I personally would have been fine with my kids and their close friends drinking responsibly in my home. However, I was not prepared to go to jail and did not have the money to spend on a lawyer to try to keep me out of jail. Today, we all enjoy legally visiting our area's amazing bars, wineries, distilleries, and breweries together. She has children, including the fabulous Lee, that are now older adults, and now she's enjoying that time with her older kids. Katie Pearl has a response for you.
Okay.
She says, elections have consequences. Youngkin ran on this issue, and the voters spoke. We have done it the Northam way for 2 years, and we still have tons of cases. It's time for parents to decide what their risk tolerance is for their individual child. I don't believe it's another person's right to tell me what to do with my kid. I'm in that ballpark too.
I mean, I think we can all respectfully agree to disagree to some degree. But I would say this. Jerry, if you were going to have a surgery, do you want the specialty surgeon figuring out the surgical plan so you have the best outcome? Or do you want to go home, figure out your own surgical plan, and give it to the doctor to do?
Okay, that's a fair point. I'm going to counter your point by saying, and this is something my wife and I, this causes friction in our marriage.
It's divisive.
It's caused friction in our marriage.
For sure. My husband wants to go out. And I'm like, we're not going out because if you bring COVID, I'm going to kill you.
Okay, it's caused friction in our marriage. I'll straight up say that. I will straight up say that. I am a man of science.
Yeah.
And I'm a businessman, and you're a businesswoman.
Sure.
Data and numbers are tools that I utilize to make rational decisions.
Correct.
I see the data and the collateral health damage that COVID has on children 5 and under. Our kid is under 5. It is minuscule, the health damage. In a lot of ways, the data suggests that COVID for the 5 and under is like the common cold. And as a result, 2 years of empirical data, basically, close to it, I say, look, the littles do not get tremendously impacted by this, and our son, the people he is around, are all vaccinated and boosted, and then some. So we're okay to, good God, please let me have a Minute Man at 3 Notch at happy hour where we all go inside and drink this damn thing.
I get it.
Okay?
But as a mother, I understand where your wife is coming from, because, listen.
But guess what?
You're not going in.
I'm not going
I
happy
know you
hour.
aren't going in.
Yeah, I'm not going happy
But listen,
hour.
as
you
a
know
dad,
why?
Because you'd be sleeping on the couch. I know that story, Jerry. My husband built a tiny home during COVID.
Is that where he's sleeping?
It's impossible.
Is that the treehouse?
Yeah,
That's the dope treehouse he's got.
Oh, it has a flat screen TV,
Yeah, I wouldn't
heating
necessarily
and air,
call that
balcony.
that's not a treehouse. That's like another effing home
But
on your
it's
property.
tiny. I mean, it's tiny. He built it by his hand. Well, anyway.
We digress. We digress.
We digress.
Yeah.
It's a raised man cave.
Yes, it's a man cave. Yeah, but raised in the treehouse.
Raised
form.
and elevated literally and figuratively.
Yes.
Man cave.
Yeah, man cave. Listen, if there was a 1 in a million chance your son could die by going on a roller coaster.
Yeah, this is the argument she makes. This is the
No, I'm
argument
just
that
asking.
she makes.
Okay, wait, Judah, can you look up the case numbers of?
Well, Karen
Kids
Fry
who've
Wolf.
died on a-
Oh, what?
Kids who've died on a roller coaster?
No.
No.
Kids who have been hospitalized, severely hospitalized, or died from COVID.
Why don't we ask Karen Fry Wolf, pediatric and associates?
Listen, she's a brilliant doctor.
She's watching right now and commenting. She says, we did not see a ton of COVID in 5 and unders until Omicron. We are waiting to see what the cases of MIS-C do in the next several weeks. MIS-C symptoms show up several weeks after infection. Okay, so and the point that you're making is the point that I hear from my wife, where she says, if there's a chance, I'm staying away from it. And I say, you have a greater chance of being struck by lightning and dying.
Right, but you can't control that.
You can't control that. You don't go outside in a thunderstorm.
I mean, so don't go outside in a thunderstorm and it won't be an issue. then you'll have zero chance.
For the sake of a talk show, and Judah, jump in here with perspective, because I see you have the wheels turning. When you have that smirk, you have something smart that you got to say. I see that. We have to eventually live our lives.
Okay, I think the turning point, like I said
Amen.
before.
We can't live in this
Listen.
constant state of fear.
Okay.
If we live in this constant state of fear, you're a businesswoman, and we're talking,
Yeah.
we're respectfully
Yeah,
having a conversation.
absolutely.
If we live in this constant state of fear, the ramifications of this constant state of fear are damaging to the economy, damaging to mental health,
Totally agree.
damaging to educational maturation, damaging to the next generation that's going to take over the world.
Right. But listen, I think we have to sit tight for 3 or 4 more months. They said
KJ, we have been saying that for some
listen.
time.
But, well, because before we didn't have, no one had developed, like, if you get the flu and then they give you Tamiflu, right? So it shortens your symptoms. It doesn't make you as sick. You're not as sick as long, right? They've developed this for...
Tamiflu is synonymous with like the morning after pill. If you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
That's basically, it's synonymous with the morning after pill. Different realms, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying.
But now they have COVID medicine that's being manufactured right now that should be in plethora. They're saying by the beginning of summer, end of spring. That, to me, is back to normal. Because then if I get COVID, I get a positive test, I take these meds, I don't get deathly ill, I'm not in the hospital, I might be sick instead of a week, I might be sick for 3 days so I can get back to work. That, for me, is back to normal because that's what we needed.
Judah Wickhauer. Katie Pearl, we'll get to your comment. Katie Pearl, we have a 1% chance of dying in a car crash, yet we still get in vehicles.
Yeah.
That's true. Do you wear a seatbelt? Because that's like wearing a mask.
I mean, we can't live with our fears 24/7. It's just insanity. I mean, I saw my dad took me to see Jaws when I was 3 years old. I'm still terrified of swimming in the ocean.
No, you're not.
Are you really?
Yeah, I mean, I'll do it because I know it's absurd, but
I get it.
But the fear is still there in my
I
subconscious.
thought it was because you sunburn.
I could see that too.
You sunburn.
Occasionally.
Are you legitimate? I didn't know that about you. And I worked together for 10 years. I did not know that.
And swimming in the ocean has nothing to do with getting sunburned.
You can get sunburned swimming in the ocean.
Yeah. Actually, the water reflects off you and you get more sunburn.
Yeah.
Dropping knowledge for
We
Judah.
need to get the bare-chested rebel poster to have suntan.
But the point is that yes, it's more dangerous driving in a car.
Okay,
my
but
dad,
yes.
my dad used to be terrified of flying in a plane. Whenever we would fly, as soon as you could take off your seatbelts, he would be sweating streams and pacing the airplane aisle. But now he does it whenever he has to do it, and he's fine.
Okay.
We get over our fears.
Right, but do
because
you
they're-
wear a seatbelt? If you drive in a car, there's 1% chance you're going to get in an accident. 1%, but that's like nothing, right? Do you wear a seatbelt in your car?
Yeah.
I do
But
because
it's only 1% chance that you're going to get a car accident and get hurt. Why would you do that?
I do because my car makes an annoying as hell noise
Oh, the beep.
when I don't do it.
You wear the seatbelt not for safety, but to shut off the beep, beep, beep
Yeah.
of not wearing
Do you
the
know-
seatbelt.
do you know how to turn that off?
You know
I
what
can
else
tell
I
you.
do?
Hold down
You know
the
what else I
clicking
do?
button.
I've got the passenger side. I've got the passenger side seatbelt clicked in, so when Liza is sitting in the passenger
Oh, yeah, because that
seat,
beeps with my dogs, too.
my car doesn't make that annoying noise either.
So Liza has to sit shotgun with the seatbelt behind her or strapped over her chest?
with the seatbelt behind her.
Yeah.
No,
I
Liza
have to
doesn't
with my
like
dogs,
that.
too. And then I have to
She
turn
doesn't
off
care.
the airbags because I don't want the airbags blowing in my dog.
More comments coming in. So this is obviously, this hits a close home to everyone. This is the stuff we're all dealing with right now. This is from Big Rick.
Oh, hello, Rick.
He says, good one. Masks are like seatbelts.
Thank you. I knew you'd choose my side.
Good one. Masks are like seatbelts. VP Vanessa. People have been successfully treated for COVID with what's the word?
Mononucleosis.
No,
No.
monoclonal antibodies?
With monoclonal antibodies for months and months. Other therapies are being approved and manufactured now. Kelly is right. These should be extremely helpful for those who have fear of going out.
Yeah.
That's Vanessa Parkhill in Earlysville watching the program here. Katie's got a comment. Katie, we love your participation. I appreciate your passion, Katie. We cannot deny, and Katie, you have 4 children, right? Is a 5th on the way, or is it 3 children with a 4th on the way? If you could put that in the feed, KP, let us know. She says, we cannot deny the culture of fear that we are creating for our children. we are telling our children that they are a threat to others if they don't have a cloth mask on their face. If 3 vaccines is not stopping the spread, then my child's Old Navy Little Mermaid mask is not changing the trajectory.
Right, they're saying you're
She's
the Little Mermaid
four
mask.
kids with the fifth on the way.
The cloth masks don't work. That's what they said. They said now you have to have the KN95s or the other ones.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. All I'm saying is that's what the CDC says.
Well, at one time...
And how much do we trust them now, Judah?
Right, I mean, as the I think...
How much did we ever trust them?
Well,
I did.
We trust them in the beginning. The CDC...
I did.
The CDC, from my standpoint right now, has very little credibility.
Whoever's doing their marketing PR, Jerry, take over that.
Has piss-poor perception management.
Yeah.
Piss-poor perception management. And then when they shrunk the quarantining windows to 5...
And then they said it wasn't based on science? It was based on what they felt like people could do?
Well,
then I'm over with you. I'm not doing it.
She legitimately said...
She said that.
She did. She said, I'm shrinking it to 5 because people are going to do whatever they want anyway.
Right. So guess what? Any credibility you had left at that point, for me, 0 gone kaput.
I felt the same way. I felt 100% the same way.
And when the pandemic started, I was like, Fauci is the man. Fauci... Well, let's listen and do what he says. Now, I purposely turn the channel when any of those people are on.
Fauci, when Fauci was mask,
right,
and then caught at the baseball stadium in the stands without a mask on after throwing the first pitch, I'm like, this dude's a hypocrite.
Right?
And, a lot of people feel that way. I'm not trying to poop on this guy right here, but
he's a smart man. Listen, he was put in, I think, an impossible situation where politics and science collided, and they are oil and vinegar.
And I will say this, and I've said this many times on this program here, when COVID arose in undoubtedly the most divisive presidential election in United States history, it polarized this pandemic and made the mask and the vaccine a thing of political alliance. If COVID had struck the globe in the middle of Trump's term and not when Trump was up for re-election, the management of this pandemic would have been less divisive. Now and we have other topics we're going to get to. This show's been red hot, as you can tell. It's been red hot. You are in fuego here. We may have to invite you on for part 2 to talk restaurants.
Okay.
And we certainly on this show need to talk about PB renovations and improvements in Barracks Road.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the word that we emphasized very early on, I think last week, and Judah, you jump in the mix here, the word endemic.
Yeah.
Because we're starting to see, as predicted on this program about 2 weeks ago, the word endemic becoming part of vernacular and COVID management.
It's going to be like the flu and rhinovirus and all the other things.
Yes.
It's going to come to that.
Endemic.
But you don't use it the same way you use pandemic.
Give us more background on that.
Endemic is more... it's been so long since I took basic grammar, but you don't say that this is an endemic. Endemic is more, you say like, low-grade fever is endemic to people getting.
So you're saying it's not low-grade fever is endemic. That's an adjective.
It's something that stays around forever.
Yeah, you're saying it. You don't utilize it as if it was a pronoun. Right. You utilize it as if it's an adjective.
Yeah, this is endemic to the area. That's
an adjective.
Right.
Actually, that is that an adverb? Rory, can you help us out? Is that an adjective or an adverb? Rory, can you help? Seriously.
I don't know.
It's not a pronoun. We could say it's not a pronoun. I know for a fact it's not a pronoun. Someone to help us out. I'm sure viewers are going to help us out. Scott Aaronworth, the Esquire. So endemic.
You could say that, COVID is becoming endemic to the world as a whole. A pandemic is something that is usually scary, but it usually has an ending. It's going to end at some point.
Okay,
like
so
seasonal, seasonal.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, what we're getting at here. Semantics. This is semantics.
Yeah.
But you're right. I understand your point, though. Thank you for making that point. What we're getting at here is this. Eventually, the global population, the American population, the Central Virginia population will treat COVID as if it was like a flu strain.
Right. I'm telling you, I'll never fly on a plane again without a mask.
Ever?
Plane specific.
How about a cruise?
I'll go on a cruise.
How about
Not now, but I'll go on a cruise.
How about an Andre Xavier Seville hop-on tours
Sure.
without a mask? What's the difference between a hop-on tour and a plane?
Well, no, I mean, today would I do that, or like when this medicine comes out that if you get it, you take it like
Both.
the flu. Now, I'm not going anywhere without a mask right now. If I'm in heavily populated area, like stuck, rebreathing people's air, like on a plane, if it's cold or flu season, I don't think I'm ever gonna not wear a mask on a plane. Because every time I fly, I end up with like a cold or a sinus, something.
Will you travel again in cold and flu? I mean, let's cut to the chase. The cold and flu season is now going to be cold and flu and COVID season.
Yeah, I would.
You would travel during cold and flu and COVID season?
Like I said, once this medicine is out that if you get COVID, you take these pills, you don't get very sick, you're going to recover quickly, like the flu medicine. Once that happens, I'm good to go, except wearing a mask on an airplane. Or like at Disney World, probably.
J-Dubs.
I mean, is Tamiflu? I've never taken it.
Oh, I've taken Tamiflu.
It seems to me kind of odd. Like, you know, when I've gotten the flu in the past, it lasts what? 4 days, 6 days, 8 days. I mean, how would you know that by taking Tamiflu, your flu was cut short by a day and a half?
Well, because like every time, at least for me, I can only speak for when I've had it. So I've always gotten the flu from Lena, who ends up getting like flu A and flu B every year. So when she starts to feel bad and tests positive for the flu, I automatically get a prescription for myself and her for the Tamiflu. She starts it. The second I feel the slightest tickle in my throat, I start the Tamiflu.
That's when I start taking echinacea, zinc, and vitamin C and just downing them.
There you go. But it's probably the same kind of thing. So therefore then, when I have gotten the flu, it's lasted, and I felt really bad for like 2 days. But Lena, who had the flu first, and didn't have the Tamiflu, she was sick for like a week. I can only base it off of that.
Right.
Well, I think you guys I think the triangle content was red hot today. Well done and bravo, Judah, and well done and bravo, KJ. I want to table the discussion of the future for restaurants.
Okay.
Why so many Seville eateries are for sale.
I know, that makes me so sad.
And what to do with the restaurant labor shortage for another show. We will welcome KJ back, her schedule permitting.
Sure.
Another day.
I don't leave the house. I wear my mask. I come here. I go home.
There you go. There you go. So we will welcome you back to talk about those important topics and why she has perspective to offer is it 17 under your watch?
I think so. Yeah, 17.
17?
16, 17.
16, 17
Yeah.
locations of Panera's under her watch and her tutelage. I do want to highlight for the viewers and listeners, if you can get those pics ready, J-Dubs, of the fantastic renovations you've done at Barracks Road.
Yes, Barracks Road is looking amazing. Our renovations are finally done. You know, we've been at Barracks Road for, 15 plus years. And we just wanted to create an updated, comfortable, more crisp, clean version of the Panera bread that everyone knows and loves at Barracks.
You got the photos on screen?
I'm getting there.
Okay, he's going to give us the thumbs up. I'll tell you when to look at the screen. Give us the play-by-play.
We redid the tile, we redid the carpeting, we redid the seatings, the lighting, the layout of our bakery, new artwork. There's a lot more plugs. When you walk in, it just feels crisp and clean, a comfortable place to study or get lunch. So we hope everyone enjoys it. So stop by and see it. It's completely done. So thanks for everyone's patience. Why we, take some time when you keep a restaurant open and doing remodels.
Why'd you do the renovations?
Because we love Charlottesville and we want to keep investing in Charlottesville and in our community. And we wanted to give all of our customers a refresh, more comfortable place. We love Charlottesville. We're going to live here. We're local. We own local businesses. We support local businesses. And what better way than to put money back into a local business and the community?
I've said this many times on the show. I've said this to you before. This business, 14 years old on May 28th, In the first year of launching the business, oftentimes I found myself working from an ISP at Panera Bread Barracks Road. There in the morning, there in the afternoon. And your team's willingness to allow folks to have a coffee or broccoli and cheddar, bread bowl and soup, and to do work was gracious and appreciated.
Sure. Anyone's welcome anytime. Anytime.
And I also want to highlight what they did with warming stations at 5th Street Station.
Oh, thank you.
She and her family and the team at 5th Street Station, when the snowpocalypse struck Albemarle County and Charlottesville, opened up their 5th Street Station location as a warming center for the community when it was often in the 40s.
Yeah.
And I'm talking temperature in our homes. How did you guys manage snowpocalypse? Well, you guys have a...
We have a whole house generator.
Yeah,
so
for health reasons.
For health reasons, yeah.
Yeah, health reasons. So snowpocalypse was no bueno. Was no bueno for many of us, in particular my wife.
Well, she's stuck at home.
She was.
I mean, but listen.
With the almost 4-year-old, and that's not easy.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
But listen, I find it so funny.
Stuck at home though.
What?
Yeah, she was.
I mean, she's got a car.
But the roads weren't plowed, and
The roads weren't plowed, and we
On
just
Monday,
identified.
You and I were coming to work all week.
I'm talking about early snowpocalypse. Hers wasn't 4-wheel drive, and we've already identified her cautious nature with our unvaccinated child.
Where is she
during
gonna go?
COVID, and there was also freaking snow and ice everywhere. So it compounded matters, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Okay. I'm just saying she wasn't stuck.
You have the freedoms and liberties of
Single.
Charlottesville's most eligible bachelor
Yeah.
who has posters in the bedroom of his adoring fans. I do not have those liberties and freedoms, my friend.
Did you like the remodel?
I think the pictures are gorgeous.
Yeah, I think.
And I think they're absolutely fantastic. And that's why I think having you back on to talk about these topics, what is the future of restaurants, trends that local restaurants should consider, how restaurants should manage labor shortages, and why so many Charlottesville eateries are for sale is like literally right up your alley.
Yeah.
Because you're using crowdsourced information from franchisees all over the globe
Sure.
to get to the finish line, or what is like the best option or best efficiency or best use of a restaurant.
Yeah.
Where like a lot of like the mom and pops in our community don't have that data that they
Right.
can reference.
Right.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's very fair.
Yeah.
And they don't have the support system,
Right.
right? Like a one mom and pop, if they have a bad month,
That could be the end.
that could be the end.
Right.
Whereas if you have multiple locations, if one location has a bad month,
Can
you have-
carry the others.
Yeah.
And you experience that firsthand.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We experienced that. Yeah. Drive-throughs versus our non-drive-throughs, especially when COVID was awful and first coming out. So, yeah.
Okay, we'll close on this, and this is the beautiful thing about this world we live in. Katie Pearl, I will get off my soapbox now. I think Kelly Jackson is doing the right thing for her family. I just want the freedom to do what's right for my family without government intervention.
I hear that, and I support that.
There you go. And that's what makes this country great. We can have discussions like this, and when we close, we agree to disagree, and we don't have to worry about some dictator chopping our heads off. Because that actually does happen in the world.
That's not funny.
That actually does happen in the world. Ho Chi Minh, Ho Chi Minh.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, hey, you did a great job.
Thanks. You two did a great job.
Judah, tremendous work. Rory, great work. Excellent work. That's the show, guys. We will see you at 10:15 a.m. tomorrow with Real Talk and the I Love Seville show at 12:30. Hasta luego. Take care. That was fun.
That was so fun.
That was so fun. And dude, we went night.